All right. Amen. God's good. Amen. Would you bow with me in prayer? God, I thank you that you're good, Father. I thank you that you're with us, God, every step of the way. God, I thank you, God, that your promise is to comfort us, God, in times of need. I pray, Lord, that as I prepare and as I preach, God, out of your word, Lord, you'd only have me to say what you want me to say, God. And when it's time to quit talking, that I would stop. God, I thank you for it. In Jesus' name. Amen? Amen. All right. We're preaching a new series today called Fight Club. Now, there's a few rules of Fight Club. I'm just kidding. It's an old movie. But we're preaching a new series called Fight Club because we're in a fight, amen, that there's some things going on in our life and we're being attacked, pressed down from every angle. And we've got to learn that it's not a game, amen, that it's something for real that we got to take very seriously. So if you would, turn your Bibles to 2 Samuel 23. And we're going to start there. I preached something last Sunday night that was just, I don't know, it was okay, but it just spurred my heart. And so we're going to not preach it, but talk on it again. 2 Samuel 23, 20 through 23. Then Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Kebzeel, who had done mighty deeds, killed the two sons of Ariel of Moab. That means, the sons of Ariel means lion-like. So you had guys that were just bad to the bone. They were mercenaries. They were tough. They were mean. And this guy by himself whips them both. That's the kind of guy I want in my crew. You know what I mean? He also went down and killed a lion in the middle of a pit on a snowy day. And I'm going to stop there, and we're going to read again here in a little bit. But I want to talk to you about the fact that he chased a lion. He went down, in the New Living Translation, put that up there, I think it's in the NLT. It says he chased the lion into a pit on a snowy day. And I love this because there's so much, sometimes we have to read between the lines of what's going on in the Word. Amen? Like, we read this, and he says he chased a lion in a pit on a snowy day. We're like, well, okay, what's going on in this setting of Scripture? Why on earth was he doing that? Like, that's kind of a psychotic thing to do. Like, I'm not, like, if I have a rifle, sure, I'll pursue a coyote or I'll pursue a predator, but not if I ain't got a rifle. Listen, I don't care how big, how good the sword or the spear is. I want no part of a lion. You know what I mean? And nevertheless, you have this guy, Benaiah, and he chases this lion into a pit. And I love this because I think, okay, what's going on in this story? And more than likely, whether it was his house or I kind of believe that he was doing it for David, but nevertheless, this lion would come out of its den, would come out of its pit, and it would go and it would attack the sheep of the shepherd. It would eat the livestock. It would pursue that all the game in that area. And so you've got this guy Benaiah that realizes at some point I've got to deal with this thing that's attacking my stuff. We're going to preach today. Amen. The truth is, so often, so many of us, we're afraid to deal with the stuff that's trying to, we're afraid to deal with the thing that's trying to steal the things that God says we could have. And so what happens for a lot of shepherds, if the lion comes out, he'll chase the lion, and he'll wave his stick, and he'll try to act big and bad, and the lion will run away, and the lion will go. And then in that moment, the shepherd goes, whoo, thank God it ran away. I didn't have to fight it. Thank God I didn't have to confront that person I know has an issue with me. Thank God I didn't have to go and ask for forgiveness for someone that I know I did wrong. Thank God I didn't have to deal with my kid's teacher. Come on, somebody. Thank God I didn't have to deal. Amen. Anybody in the house preaching with me today? And the truth is, Benaiah realized if I want to keep these sheep safe, that lion can't live. If I want to continue to enjoy the product generation after generation of my sheep herd or of my cattle herd, that lion has to die. So I imagine that lion came and he attacks this lion with maybe his spear or his war club or whatever it was he used. Benaiah was bad. Benaiah, one of the weapons he would use, he had what he called a war club. And it was like a petrified root off a tree. He had dug it up, and in the root was like a rock. Not like a rock, but like a rock, with the roots wrapping around it. Man, that'll preach right there. But nevertheless, this was one of his weapons. So he was a bad dude carrying that thing around. He was tough. And this lion comes, and they engage in this fight. And for whatever reason, he gets the best of this lion, and the lion takes off. It drops the sheep, and it runs. And in that moment, I feel like Benaiah had to come to grips with reality that said, I don't really want to deal with this thing. In the middle of this fight, I probably got cut. I probably got scratched. And I really don't want to have to chase this lion. But as long as it lives, my herd is at risk. So he chased it. Now, can you imagine, like, if you're buddies with Benaiah, let's just use our imaginations, right? You out there, and there's a lion attacking the sheep. Most of us would have been like, oh, what a bummer, I just lost a sheep. Benaiah chases it. He kicks it. The lion gets up and attacks him, and they wrestle around for a little bit. He gets the best, and it runs off. Like me, I've been going like, way to go, Benaiah, you're tough. And then this crazy man gets up and starts running after the lion. He chases this thing, and it says it goes into a pit on a snowy day. It's bitter. Sometimes life is bitter. Can't go there. The pit, guys, wasn't a little 4-foot hole. It was a pit. He had to climb down into the depths of this thing. He had to do what it took. He had to go deep to fight this lion. Sometimes the lions in our life they're rooted very deeply in our hearts. Sometimes the lions that attack us, they come from years and years of issues and struggle. Benaiah climbs down into the pit. And hand-to-hand combat, he fights this lion until he kills it. There's another guy that fought a lion. David, just a cute little redhead kid. It says that he attacked. The lion came. He tells Saul, the lion came and took one of my sheep. And I struck it. And when I struck it, it turned on me. I wish someone would get this. So you've got the lion, right? It takes his sheep, and I don't know what he has, but he hits the lion. The lion drops the sheep, and it turns on David to attack him. You know what David does? I wish I had someone with some really cool hair I could just grab a hold of right now. He grabs. My mom said, don't you touch my hair. I know better than to grab one. You girls are crazy when it comes. He reaches and he grabs the lion by the mane. And hand to hand, he begins to strike this thing and hit this thing until it's dead. Someone says, why did David have to do it? Why did Benaiah have to do it? Because as long as the lion lived, their sheep were at risk. Touch somebody, say, chase the lion. Come on, we're going to chase the lion today. Tell 3 people, chase the lion. In 1 Samuel 15, the prophet Samuel comes to Saul, and he says, Saul, God's going to give you victory over the king of Amalek and utterly destroy all that he has, put everything to death. And now some people look at this and they think, man, God was mean. No, God loves his kids. As long as that phone number's still in your phone, your marriage is going to struggle. Uh-oh. Come on, as long as you're still flirting with some things, and I'm not just talking about people, but as long as you're still flirting with some areas of your life, as long as you're still allowing them to be around, your life is going to struggle. And David said, this Amalek, for the rest of your life, for the rest of your kids' life, they're going to cause you problems, so just destroy it all. And so Saul goes to war, and as he gets there, he whips everybody. And he thinks to himself, hey, this is okay. You know, I've got some good sheep. I got some nice silver and gold. And here's the king. I'm going to lead the king back into my people, and they'll see the great victory that I had. Now, the reality is, this is most of us. As we fight these things that attack us, we don't utterly put them to death. We're okay with them. As long as we beat them every now and then, we're okay with them just remaining in the closet. We're okay with the lion as long as he's in the pit. But as long as he's in the pit, your life's at risk. Touch somebody, chase the lion. So the prophet, I love what, man, like the prophet, sometimes prophets get a bad rap. Like sometimes, if we were to be honest, and I'm not going to ask you, but if we were to be honest, most people, if I said, what do you think of a prophet? That you would think he was soft and he was weak and that he was not real tough and kind of a sissy. It's okay. You don't nod, because I know for most people, that's what they think of the preacher too. And you're part right. the prophet Samuel walks up to Saul and he says, Saul, man, what's going on? I'm not going to go into the whole story. He said, Saul, why did you allow this thing to live? And he said, but it was good. Like what's wrong with me allowing this? It was just the good. What's wrong with me allowing this to live? Like, it was okay, just the king. And it's okay, just the big sheep and the big donkeys. It's okay to have the Clydesdales. Like, I kept the good stuff, but I'm going to sacrifice. And the prophet said, you don't understand what's coming down your family line. He said, you don't understand. A few generations later, the king of Amalek you let live, you let some of them get away. And in 1 Samuel 30, that same kingdom is going to take your grandkids captive. Come on, what you tolerate will captivate your children. Someone says, Pastor Beau, you preach hard. It's because I love your kids. We live a tight lifestyle. It's because I love my kids and I don't want my kids to go through some things. Because I allowed some stuff to live in my life. Because I allowed some stuff to live in the pit. He says, don't you understand? There's more to this than what you're facing. Don't you understand, King Saul, that what I'm worried about is not just you, but I'm worried about your children and your grandchildren? Don't you understand it's bigger than you? Touch somebody, it's bigger than you. Don't you understand this battle you're fighting? It ain't just about what you're fighting. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than what you're dealing with. Prophet was bad, man. Prophet said, bring the king to me. King Agag at this moment, he's kind of happy. He's grinning ear to ear. He's like, yeah, we lost, but I'm alive, and I'm a king. That's all I care about. And not only am I alive, but they're going to bring me before the prophet. They bring him before the prophet. And the prophet says, give me a sword. Come on, somebody. Problem is you left the sword at home. He said, give me the sword. And this is what the prophet did. For those of you guys who think the prophets were weak, the prophet cut him into pieces. That's harsh. We wasn't having no chance of that guy coming back to life. Listen, let's be real. Every horror movie you ever saw, the first time you think the bad guy's dead, he ain't really dead. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's never over the first one or two times. The prophet must have seen some of the movies. Just, y'all are sinners, man. Y'all need to repent watching that. So the prophet, he cuts him, he dashes him, and he cuts him into pieces, saying there's no chance of this guy coming back against me, coming back against my family. But that's what happened. 1 Samuel 30, Saul's grandkids and maybe his daughters got taken into captivity because he refused to deal with some stuff in his own life. It matters. It matters. Matter of fact, David, he does the same thing. He fights Goliath, and what's David do? Cuts the head off the dude. Like that's cool. We all like that story. But imagine you're 12. That's kind of rough. You know what I mean? But David understood. I may have knocked you down, and you may be dead, but I'm cutting the head off this thing. The truth is, most of us in our lives, there's some lions we got to cut the head off of. There's some things we got to go ahead and put down for the count. We got to quit letting them run to the pit. We got to totally get rid of them. Matter of fact, a few years later, David, he's supposed to be at war, and he walks onto his balcony. He's admiring all the great things that he's done. He's proud. I imagine he walks out with a cup of coffee, and he's getting probably a little overweight. No puns at the pastor, please. He walks out. Man, listen, we started playing basketball Sunday nights, and every Sunday night I go, I'm good at first, and then we go, are we playing half court or full court? I'm like, man, full court. We playing full court. One trip down, I'm like, God, whose idea was this? Full court. That was David. David walks out on his balcony. He's like, man, my life is awesome. I got the greatest kingdom. This is so great. And he looks down, and what does he see but a naked woman? And he's like, I think that maybe the first day he thought, I shouldn't be here. And he walks away. The next day he gets his coffee and he walks out on his balcony. And this time he knows that she's bathing. This time he knows where she's at. And he walks to that edge of the balcony just to glance. But then he thinks conviction. He thinks, I should probably leave. But in my opinion, about day 3, 4, or 5, he looks out on the balcony and he sees the Bathsheba. And he says, bring her into my bedroom chamber. Her husband was Uriah. Uriah was one of David's 30 closest friends. He was part of the bodyguard. Like Uriah and David were tight. And David he has Uriah murdered so that he could be with his wife. Someone says, but Beau, what's your point? My point is there's some things You've got to put yourself in position because there's some things, there's some traps, there's some plans, there's some ploys of the enemy to get you caught in sin. Chase the lion. Song of Solomon 2:15 says it like this: chase for us the little foxes that spoil our vineyards, what? That means in the midst of things going good, for most of us, when our finances are okay, when our job is good, when our kids are being well, we allow some things that we normally wouldn't allow. We allow them to trot around because we think it's really not worth making an issue of. Really, it's not that big of a deal, and we allow them to live, but then one day we wake up and our vineyards are dashed to pieces. Chase the lion. Kill the little foxes. He says, catch the foxes, man. Solomon's saying, listen, Solomon had his own foxes, and I had a feeling that he was speaking from experience. He said, there's been some things in my life that I've let live, and they've cost me dearly. Catch the foxes. Chase the lion. Cut the head off that giant. The prophet, David. Can I talk about relationships? I'm going to talk to the married and single people, okay? Single people first. Question I often ask single young adults. I tell my daughters they can't marry until they're 30. Because something happens to boys at about 15. They lose their minds. Girls, you lose your minds too. To a quick point of time. We go crazy. Me and Pat were talking about this. From 15 to 25, people think they know it all. I thought I knew it all. My mom and dad reminded me often that I was incorrect. The relationship you're in. First of all, if they're not pursuing God, it's not a healthy relationship. Oh, don't preach that, Pastor. Tell me I'm good. I'll tell you you're good if you're good, but if you're in error, I love you enough to chase the lion. I can't kill your lion, but I help you fight him. I help you locate him. So if that person in your life, I was counseling a young lady, my wife and I, one time, and she was in a relationship. And I said, here's what I said. I said, first of all, are you closer? What her point was, she wanted to be a missionary and date people that weren't saved. She going to date them and lead them to Jesus. That makes sense, right? Because that's exactly what the scripture says. Jesus said, above all, I want you to date people that don't love me and turn their hearts toward me. And I want you to go where they go and do what they do and try to persuade. No, man. Jesus said, don't be unequally yoked. Don't have unequal shares in the relationship. Meaning, if you're the only one pursuing God, come on, somebody. She comes in our house, my wife and I's house, and she's upset and her heart's hurting. And she's like, this relationship, it's a mess. And I don't know how to get it back on track. And it was an unhealthy relationship, and we could see it. But for some reason, when we're getting these relationships, we get tunnel vision. And we feel like, but they're the one. He's perfect for me. And the guy's like, but look at her. She ain't got to be saved. Look at her. And the girl says, he's so special. But I love him. She's sitting on our couch. She's crying. See, you don't deal with the aftermath that we deal with. Come on, somebody. We unfortunately get to see these broken relationships from a bird's eye, from the beginning to the middle of the end, and we love you enough to tell you. And so this situation, this girl, she's in our house, and she's upset because the relationship's a failure. And I said, let me ask you a question. You said that your hope was to get this person in church. Are they closer to God or further away since you've been dating? She said, well, they're not closer. Okay. Are you closer or further from God since you started dating? She said, further. I said, then it's wrong. Is it worth it? It's wrong. It's wrong. For you, sis, it's wrong. And I said, let me ask you this final question. She said, okay. I said, is it even a healthy relationship? Like, I said, let's remove the fact that Jesus doesn't want this. Let's remove the fact that you're running from his heart right now. Is it even a healthy relationship? You know what she said? No. I said, then what are you doing still in it? That's good stuff. We could close right there. But we can't because I got to talk with the married people. So I talk to people, and my wife and I, we discuss this stuff often. If you have a person in your life that's closer to you than your spouse, it's wrong. If let's say that you've got my kids and your kids and our kids, and that's okay, I'm not knocking that. But unfortunately, when you become married, scripturally, your spouse becomes number one, not your children. And someone says, don't tell me not to. No. I'm not. Jesus did. That ain't Beau's opinion. That's the word of God. And I'm trying to be gentle because I know how much I love my kids. And it's not that you got to love your kids, but you guard your spouse. Come on, somebody. If there's a person of the opposite sex or a person that you could be possibly, if there's a Bathsheba in your life, can I tell you what to do? Go to war. Because the word says when kings go to battle, David walked on his roof. Go to war. Chase the lion. Don't allow these things to be prevalent or present in your life. I spent way more time there than I intended. In Joshua 7:16-20, would you put that up for me? They go to battle, and God's given them victory, Joshua victory. And he says, don't turn from the right or the left, and I'll give you everything. I'm going to cause you to win. Wherever your foot treads is yours. Like, that's a cool promise. That's a cool word. And so he goes to war, and he loses. And he's like, hold on, God. Your heart is not for me to lose. Come on, oh, man, we could preach that. Your heart is not for me to lose, but your heart for me is to win. And yet I keep finding myself in failure. So what's going on? And so Joshua rose early in the morning and brought Israel near by the tribes, and the tribe of Judah was taken. He brought the family of Judah near, and he took family of the Zerites, and he brought the family of the Zerites near, man by man, and Zabdi was taken. Thank God my name is Beau. But you know what? New names aren't any easier to say than Bible names. We just say them different. Y'all know what I mean? He brought his household near, man by man, and Achan, the son of Carmi was the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah from the tribe of Judah was taken. He pulled out Achan. Then Joshua said to Achan, my son, I implore you, give glory to the Lord, the God of Israel, and give praise for him, and tell me now what you have done. Don't go to the next verse yet. Don't hide it from me. See, they went to war, and the Lord told them, destroy everything, just like he told Saul. Don't let anything live. Next verse. So Achan answered Joshua and said, truly I have sinned against the Lord, the God of Israel, and this is what I did. When I saw among the spoil a beautiful mantle from Shinar, and 200 shekels of silver, and a bar of gold, 50 shekels in weight, then I coveted them, I took them, and behold, they are concealed in the pit. They are concealed in the earth inside my tent with the silver underneath it. And we can stop there. I put them in the pit. See, there were some things going on. He took a few things, and here's what I want you to know. Because he didn't chase the lion, the whole kingdom suffered. When you allow lions to live, your wife suffers. When you allow the lions to live, your marriage, it suffers. When you allow the lion to live, your finance, at some point, it's going to suffer. When you allow the lion to live, when you hide stuff deep down in your heart, when you allow that thing to go on, your church, it suffers. Your job, it suffers. Yourself, the truth is, you may not feel it in the beginning, but at some point, you will suffer. Every relationship you have begins to suffer because of your lion. Welcome to Fight Club. He took a few things. He took a mantle. Guys, mantle represents the anointing. There's some things in our life that we desire to do. And when we take it on ourselves, minus the heart of God, when we begin to take things on ourselves, our way, our will, how we want it, and we want it now, when we take that stuff on ourselves, the unfortunate truth is, death is the result. Spiritually, you will wear yourself out if you're trying to operate outside of what God has called you to do. He took silver. Silver represents in the word redemption. You can't redeem yourself. I got some news for some people. Not in our house, but in our culture and all across the world. Good people. Being good doesn't get you to heaven. Amen. Grace gets you to heaven. Amen. See, silver, a lot of people, they think, if I'm good enough, then I'll get heaven. Then, when I get to that point, then I'll be okay. That's when if I can do enough. No, you can't have redemption in and of yourself. He took gold. Royalty or kingship is what gold represents. A lot of us, we look at the things we're good at and we think, this makes me special. Only when you lay it before the Father, does it make you special? Chase the lion. Chase the lion. Achan, did what a lot of us do. We try to get on our own what God has already promised to give you liberally. Someone says, what do you mean? I mean is this, you're eating the apple. What do you mean I'm eating the apple? In the beginning, he said, let us make man and woman in our image and likeness. And then the snake, the serpent, comes to Eve and says, don't you know if you'll eat this apple, you'll be like God? Don't you get it? God had already promised Eve that she would be like God. The devil will always try to get you to take through him what God has promised you are. But the truth is, when you take it through him, it's limited. It's finite. But when you take it through covenant of Jesus Christ, it's infinite. It's abundant. It's more than enough. Unfortunately, many of us, we've eaten the apple. See, Achan was hiding some stuff in his tent. A lot of us, we hide some stuff deep down in our heart that we don't want no one to know. We hide some stuff that if the truth is, and I'm not going to say anything, but if a camera were to follow you through your week, you'd be ashamed for your spouse and your neighbors to see some of the stuff you've done. We're all guilty. If I were to play your life this last week on the camera, would you be proud? We're laughing. No, not many of us. Chase the lion. We have some things deep in our heart, and we feel like as long as no one sees them, it's okay. As long as I hide it, as long as it's hidden, it's okay. But for Achan, it wasn't, because at some point God causes it to be uncovered. At some point, the lion will take your life. What you don't understand, guys, as long as it's in your tent, everything's at risk. Somebody's got to chase the lion. We've got to learn to put away the hidden stuff. It's kind of like a rabid dog. Anybody ever had a dog that was mean? We had a dog named Kisses. She was possessed by a demon. Kisses was about 2 pounds. And Kisses was all sweet, and she wanted to give you kisses. Or she wanted to bite you. You never knew if the demon was going to come out or not. One day she's like, ruff, ruff, and she'd lick you. The next day she'd bite you and draw blood. My buddy kicked her across the living room one day when she bit him. My point is, it's like a rabid dog. We feed this thing, we feed this thing, we feed this thing, and then we're shocked when it turns on us and causes harm. Chase the lion. Jesus said it like this: every branch that doesn't bear fruit, he says, cut it off. And it'll be thrown into the fire. And someone's like, Pastor Beau, that's kind of harsh. And no, it's really not, because the truth is a dead branch causes more nutrients to leave branches that need help. Cut it off. Cut it off. Look at Colossians 3:5-8. I like the Message version here. Eugene Patterson says it like this: and that means killing off everything connected with that way of death. Sexual promiscuity, impurity, lust, doing whatever you feel like, whenever you feel like it, and grabbing whatever attracts your fancy. I think that's in there just that way if you're like, well, I don't deal with sexual promiscuity. But if most of us at some point do whatever we like, whenever we like, that's a life shaped by things and feelings instead of by God. Somebody's got to chase the lion. We've got to kill off all that stuff. We've got to get to a point where we say, my children are worth it. My marriage is worth it. We got to quit letting it sneak up and steal and devour. 1 Peter 5:8, it says, your adversary, the enemy, he roams about like a roaring lion, seeking someone that he may devour. Be sober of spirit. Be on alert. You know what that means? He says somebody in their life has got to get to a point where they're vigilant and violent. He said be violent. Yeah, I did. Because you mess with my wife. You mess with my kids. Anybody? See, there's some lions messing with your wife and kids. And you're saying, There's a lion messing with your job, and you're saying, I don't want to cause problems. Be vigilant and violent. Be vigilant and violent. Why do people fall away from church? They didn't chase the lion. Why do people fall away from the heart of God? Because they didn't chase the lion. Why do people walk around in unforgiveness? Because they didn't chase the lion. Why do people walk around in hurt? Because they didn't chase the lion. God has fullness of life for you today. But you have a part. You chase the lion. Be vigilant and violent. Chase the lion. Guard your home. Guard your kids. Guard your eyes. Proverbs 4:23 says, above all, guard your heart. From it flow the springs of life. Above all. See if we can learn to guard or referee our heart. If we can learn to call some things, I believe that word means referee. If we can learn to call some things out of bounds. If we can learn to set up some guardrails, we won't have to worry about our home. We won't have to worry about our eyes. We won't have to worry about our kids. Because when you guard your heart, from it flow the springs of life. Can I get my worship team to come on up as we're closing? Above all. So my question today is real simple. Who are you? Are you Achan or are you Benaiah? Are you Saul or are you David? Are you willing to chase the lion or are you going to be okay when it hides in its pit? What's the lion in your heart? What's the lion of your life? What is it that terrorizes every area? What is it that terrorizes your dreams and your hopes and your future? What is it that terrorizes you in temptation? What is it that terrorizes your life? No more waiting. It's time to chase the lion. Would you bow your heads? God, today we got to chase the lion of our life. Today, God, we got to chase the lions in our life. We got to chase those things that attack us and try to steal our hope and our joy. Today, God, we got to put some stuff to death. Today, for some of us, there's probably some relationships that we have to end. And someone says, but Beau, I worry about them. I know, and that's good and that's true. But the truth is it worth it? For some of us, there's some movies we probably should be throwing away. For some of us, I don't know what it is for each and every one of you. But for a lot of us, there's some issues. There's some hurt. There's some offense. Some of you guys have been hurt years ago. That's the pit. It's deep. I'm not asking you to tell me. I'm asking you to be honest with yourself and God. Chase the lion. Because you got hurt 20 years ago, it affects every relationship you've been in since. And it's easy to blame it on the other person. Because you got hurt in church, it's easy to blame it on every other church. Well, they do this wrong and they do this wrong. But the truth is, it ain't always every other church. Sometimes it's because there's some things in your life that cause hurt and offense and you've never dealt with them. Chase the lion. Chase the lion. For some of us, there's some addiction. And our heart's right. We love God. And this isn't a question if you love God. It's just the truth is we allow it to go and lurk. And we try to fight the temptation. I'm telling you to quit fighting the temptation and fight the lion. Kill the lion. Today, what's your lion? What is it in your life that keeps popping back up? And it's time to put it to death. What's your lion? Is it the fear of being alone? Chase your lion. Is it stubbornness? Chase your lion. Is it selfishness? Chase your lion. Is it independence? The truth is, Christ died not so we could be independent, so we could be dependent on him. Because our righteousness is a filthy rags. Who's righteous? No, not one. Oh, but we take upon your righteousness, God. God, today we chase the lion. If you're here, I always start with this point. Someone says, you always ask about salvation, because why are we here if we don't do that? You won't very often find this house not give a chance for people to accept Jesus. Because before I was ever pastoring, that was my heart. Before I ever did these things, my heart was for Jesus. Before I ever started preaching the gospel, we'd lead people to the Lord on the basketball court, or at a gas station, or if you're here and your heart's not right with Jesus, meaning if you were to die right now, you don't know where you'd go. Today's your day. The Bible says if we confess with our mouth and believe in our heart that He is Lord, He forgives us of all unrighteousness. In Psalms, I believe it says He casts it from the east to the west and remembers it no more. So if you're here and you need to get your life right with Jesus Christ, I'm going to count to 3, and I just want you to stick your arm up in the air. Here we go, right now. 1, 2, 3. Where you at? Okay. Here's my next question. How many of you have a lion? Yeah, go ahead. Put your hand. How many of y'all have a lion? Can I be real with you? Can I just be transparent? I have a lion. I have some lions that lurk around, and I try to deal with them slowly. And guess what happens? I keep finding them coming back and stealing more sheep. I got to deal with my lion. So I've purposed in my heart to fight this lion, to chase this lion. Today we have to chase the lion. Today we have to kill the lion. God, I pray for people over this house. God, I pray as these lions, God, as these things attack us, the enemy, comes about as a roaring lion. He chases and pursues us as. He's not even really a lion, as. But God, I pray that you would empower us, God, to chase this thing, the things in our heart, the things in our pit, the things dug deep down under our tent. Today, God, we expose them. Listen, if this is your heart, stick your hand in the air. Today, God, we expose them before you and say, God, I have this issue and I've been unable to deal with it by myself. God, would you help me? God, would you help me? Would you strengthen me? Would you empower me? God, would you help me to chase my lion? God, would you help me today? God, I pray that you would help these people. You would help us, this church. God, you would help our culture to chase the lions of our life, to whip the lions in our life. God, we lay it before you today. And we say, no longer is this my issue, because you died on the cross for my issues. So it's yours, and you already beat it. You've already conquered it. Today, God, I have confidence. Come on, I'm prophesying over some people. Today we have confidence. Today we have peace. Today we have strength. Today we have hope. Today we dream again. Today we live again. We no longer live in fear of when the lion will come back out. God, today we have freedom. God, today we conquer our lion. If you're here and you want prayer, we'd love to pray with you about these things. Not specifically, unless if you want to.